What if Earth had rings like Saturn? Just imagine looking up and seeing shimmering bands of ice and rock stretching across the sky, glowing with reflected sunlight. It would be the most breathtaking natural feature our planet has ever had. But if Earth really had rings like Saturn, it wouldn't just be a pretty sight. It would change everything. From how we see the night sky, to how cities grow, to how history unfolded. Let's break this down scientifically. Saturn's rings are made mostly of ice particles, with some dust and rock, ranging in size from tiny pebbles to massive boulders. They span over 170,000 miles wide but are razor thin, only about 30 feet thick. Now imagine Earth had its own version of that. A ring system just above the equator, suspended in low Earth orbit. First, the view from Earth would be unreal. In equatorial regions like Brazil, Kenya, or Indonesia, the rings would tower directly overhead, slicing through the sky like a solid arch. In mid-latitude areas like the US or Europe, the rings would appear at an angle, stretching from horizon to horizon, glowing during the day, and casting eerie shadows at night. In polar regions, they might barely be visible at all. Now think about day and night. Rings would reflect a huge amount of sunlight. Nights would never be truly dark in some places. Cities under bright ring zones might not need streetlights. Our entire circadian rhythm could be affected. The darkness our species evolved under would be gone. Imagine poets and philosophers trying to sleep under glowing, celestial light arcs. And speaking of civilization, the history of humanity would look wildly different. Ancient people would have incorporated the rings into their mythologies, religions, and power structures. Entire belief systems might have been built around these shining bands in the heavens. Stonehenge, the pyramids, Mayan temples, all of these would likely have aligned with the ring system, just like they align with stars and solstices today. But now let's go deeper. How would Earth even get rings like Saturn? There are two main ways. 1. A massive moon gets too close and is torn apart by Earth's gravity, something called the Roche limit. 2. A colossal asteroid or comet slams into a moon, scattering debris into orbit. Over time, those fragments form a stable ring system. But for the rings to stick around, they'd need to orbit high enough to avoid burning up in the atmosphere, yet low enough to remain stable. That sweet spot is tricky. Plus, Earth has a stronger gravitational pull than Saturn, and a denser atmosphere. So Earth's rings would likely be smaller and darker than Saturn's, and they might not last as long. Here's another twist. Space travel would change forever. Satellites would have to navigate carefully to avoid ring debris. Launching rockets might become far more dangerous. One collision with even a small icy rock at orbital speed, and the whole mission is toast. NASA and space agencies would need completely new protocols. But it's not all danger. If Earth had rings, they'd create epic natural calendars. Their shape and position in the sky would shift slightly throughout the year. Different parts of the world might celebrate festivals based on how the rings look during solstices and equinoxes. Imagine a New Year countdown where the rings line up perfectly with the moon. And the climate might shift too. Rings could cast massive shadows on Earth, cooling certain areas and possibly disrupting wind patterns. Parts of the planet might be drier or more fertile, not because of clouds or elevation, but because of the ring's shadow. Now let's get speculative. Some scientists suggest artificial rings in the future, maybe made from orbiting satellites or even reflective materials, could help cool the Earth by reflecting sunlight. So rings might not just be a fantasy, they could be part of geoengineering someday. So, what if Earth had rings like Saturn? We'd have night skies that look like something out of a dream. Our ancient myths, global cultures, sleep cycles, agriculture, and even space exploration would have developed in a completely different way. It wouldn't just change how the Earth looks, it would reshape how we live. And maybe, one day, if technology allows it, we'll build our own rings and finally see our planet dressed like the giants of our solar system. Stay curious, stay cosmic, and if you'd orbit this kind of content forever, make sure to like, subscribe, and share CONCURDACOSMO with fellow stargazers.